Welcome. I had a very nice afternoon. I was driven out into the countryside, the house of a painter. And this painter is playing the shakuhachi. It's a bamboo flute. So I had a very nice afternoon going with Radha out into the countryside. The house of one of our first painters that we exhibited 20 years ago. And when we started the gallery, I had the intention that it would be another teaching. So our art gallery is a kind of teaching because in our gallery, you don't find the normal paintings that would be in an exhibition. In our gallery, you find very quiet paintings. You can say they're paintings that come from emptiness, not from the ego. And if you sit in the satsang room at the back of the courtyard, then you can come into a strong resonance with those paintings. And this particular man, his name is Dan Happold, he was the very first painter 20 years ago, because somebody had told me, oh, there's a guy in the countryside and he only paints white paintings. And I thought, wow, that would be great. But I wonder if he can only paint white paintings. So anyway, 20 years ago, I loved his paintings, and he used to play me the shakuhachi when I visited him 20 years ago. But now he's shifted. He's got a new wife. He's got a new shakuhachi. Got new style of painting, and he will come and share in October with us. So it was very good afternoon. Very good afternoon. Yeah. Okay, and then I was complimenting to Kamala because tonight you can see the full grandeur of her wonderful hairstyle. Is that right? Can you hear me, Kamala? Okay, she doesn't want to be friendly because actually she still doesn't like her hair out like that. She still believes her conditioning of 40 years where it has to be all kind of slickened down for some strange reason. I don't know the reason. But what is very interesting is that on a day when she's feeling kind of closed and maybe a bit pissed off about something, you'll find that she ties her hair up. You know, she ties it here and ties it there and kind of tries to tame it, you see. So it's very difficult if you have inside yourself certain mind structures. Those mind structures prevent you coming to your true nature. So tonight's topic is exactly about vasanas, which are the obstacles to the final state. Okay, so we're going to discuss how the vasanas prevent us being in the final state, and the final state is our nature. Very simple, it's our nature. Okay, so let's start anyway with the meditation. So if you like to sit comfortably, close your eyes, look inside, and bring your attention to whatever is the strongest thing that's happening inside right now. This may be thoughts, this may be feelings, maybe a body sensation. It may indeed be silent. Okay, so when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back into the Zoom meeting. Okay, so I'm going to ask for somebody who would like to share what happened in their meditation. You just wave your hand if you'd like to. So then I would probably ask Kamal if he would like to share his meditation.
So Hi. Um, um, Mainly, I was feeling both times. The first two times, I was feeling like a sense of heaviness in my body. I had too much pizza tonight. That's why.
You're Italians, you're Italian.
Yeah. And then the third time was some thoughts passing by.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing exciting.
I think very quiet. Okay. It's not so easy to have two little kids who are always waiting for
Yeah.
your next words to them. Yeah. Okay. So would somebody else like to volunteer themselves? Okay, Kailash, good.
Yeah, so I think in the first part of the meditation, my busy was a little bit busy because my mind was very busy because I'm traveling tomorrow. So I was like, thinking about that. But when you said that we would allow ourselves to go deeper, then for some reason that changed my perspective. And then I just turned inwards and it was quiet. Um, so that was interesting, and I think it's the second time it happened to me.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I would have to say that I don't know. It was quite a long time ago, maybe a year and a half ago, when I offered these. Well, actually, it was more years ago than that. When I started offering these meetings, I had no idea that through the screen, somebody living in another country, maybe thousands of kilometers away, can come in this meditation and experience something pretty deep. This was very surprising in the beginning, but now after a long time, I've got used to this effect. And actually, it's a very beautiful effect because it makes this Zoom meetings into something very touching in a different way to an in a public meeting where I'm talking directly to somebody. That's definitely one kind of good meeting, but I sincerely find this Zoom meeting in some ways even more interesting because we have such a close connection. And for the whole hour and a half, I can watch the screen and watch people's faces and see what's going on with the people. So actually, I find this a very effective meeting. And actually, you're one of the people that nearly always comes to something quite quiet, yeah? Tonight may be a
Yeah,
bit mindy, but
yeah, I have my moments, but I think today we're going to talk about vasanas, and I think the only moment that I don't have vasanas is when I am sleeping.
okay, we'll see about that later. So maybe one more person like to share their um, meditation. Ah, good. We've got. Oh, look at that. Oh, okay. So first we'll ask Margaretha, who I'm probably not pronouncing correctly, and after Kamala. Okay, go ahead.
Hello. In the first part, I was like aligning myself with everything. It's just getting comfortable. And then it was this moment when you said that we go deeper, and I was only my breath. I felt like I am in my body. My body was empty, and I was only my breath. It was very spectacular to watch. And then I was breathing, and that was it. It was
Right,
totally peaceful. It was
right,
very, very deep.
right. Very nice. Yeah. So you're obviously very receptive, but also you're confirming what I was just saying about the Zoom meetings, because actually I've had many students who've been telling me what a deep experience they have. And one would expect that more in a public meeting where we're talking directly to each other, but somehow the screen is very intimate in a way. I think intimate may be a good word.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Good. Okay, so then Kamala, I can't. We have to invite you. because this is your moment. Okay? Kamala, are you going to say something?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you and see you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So what happened in the meditation?
Yeah, I wanted to share. Yeah, it was extremely quiet. What was present was my heartbeat.
Sorry, what was
very
present?
present, and except of that,
Wait. Say that again.
my heartbeat, my
Your heartbeat.
my heartbeat. Yeah,
Okay.
and except of that, there were nearly no thoughts, and this is very rare with me because especially the last time there were like only thoughts, and this is for me such a relief because I realize now how how much strength it takes to be so much in the mind. It's like a machine which like an engine which is working the whole time. Yeah, and this morning in the meditation, because I also didn't go for some time to yoga and meditation. I mean, I got some homework from you yesterday, and I was reading Aham Purana about Vichara, not a lot, but already these words had some effect, I would say. And this morning, there was just, I would say, some clarity about that I really cannot interact with the external world anymore, that I really have to turn to myself, because with just looking at a person or at an object, this mind produces a lot of pictures and words and opinions. And so
I would say, Kamala, that what you've just said, first of all, that you listened to my words yesterday and you tried them out this morning. It's one very good thing. And the second thing is that what you're just observing is also very important for you, because you tend to give far too much attention mostly in the memories about I didn't like this and that wasn't very good and that was horrible, all this kind of stuff, you can all just let it all go. Just let it all go, you see, because I mean, for example, within my family, now I'm 80, right? So when I was about 25, one afternoon, I said something in front of my brother's wife, right? And she's never forgiven it. So 55 years later, she still won't invite me for a cup of tea, you see? And she's been holding, can you imagine, for 55 years, she's holding whatever it was I said, 55 years ago. And this is how so many people live their lives. And so as you get older, your mind gets full of all kind of moments which you didn't like, you see. And it's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. It's only there in your mind. So when you keep going back to that place in your mind, you are the one that is creating the thing that you then don't like. So this is definitely not a good way to go. And what you have to understand is that your mind, when it's full of thoughts about the past, is all garbage. And this is not so easy to accept when for many, many years we've completely accepted that I am my mind, you see. So then to suddenly start to understand that the mind is not something to be taken seriously. You have a very well-trained and intelligent mind, and that mind you can use for some practical jobs, which is actually what you're already doing. And out of that, you contribute some things very nice to the community. But for you personally, what is very important now is that you start to really understand what I'm going to talk about tonight, about these vasanas. Okay? Okay. So I think now we'll go on to this text. So for those of you who have the English, tonight's it's in this book, which in a couple of months will also be in German. And it's if you've got it in English, it's on page 73. And the headline of this chapter is Vasanas, the obstacle to the final state. A couple of things I would like to explain before we start. When I'm pointing out, like I did just now to Kamala, when I'm pointing out something that you're very attached to, which you take very personally, right? You should understand that John David is not in any way taking it personally. This is one of the big misunderstandings, which leads to people getting pissed off with the teacher and leaving, you see. So I'm never like your daddy, I'm never like your mummy, I'm never wanting to judge you as wrong, right? So when I put my finger on some kind of vasana that you seem to exhibit, you have to see this as a blessing from your teacher. If you see it only as dear old daddy again, judging me, then you're throwing away a very important aspect of spiritual life, because often we don't see our vasanas. We simply don't have any idea about our vasanas. And therefore, one of the very important roles of a teacher is that the teacher is ready to point out to you your vasanas. Our friend Krishna, who's sleeping right now, down in Spain, he seriously believes he has no vasanas, whereas in actual fact, he has many vasanas, you see. Okay, so, the other thing I wanted to say, this question, this dialogue is with Major Chadwick. I think I'd like to say a few words about Major Chadwick, because he was a very interesting character. So you can imagine this kind of small bamboo hutted ashram in the forest, in the jungle, basically, at the base of this mountain. Very simple, extremely simple. And he shows up from England, Major Chadwick. And it turned out that he had been decorated in the First World War, and he arrived in the ashram in 1935, right? And he stayed in the ashram until he left his body in the 60s. And he was a very interesting character. And he had a strong connection to Animalai Swami, who we sometimes talk about, because Animalai Swami was very close to Bhagwan. And he was managing the construction of the ashram. And finally, one special day, he decided to leave the ashram, and he went to live in Palakkota, just nearby. And he was very close to Bhagwan. So anyway, Major Chadwick. Practice means encountering every thought with the counter thought. To whom has this thought arisen? Am I correct? Bhagwan. Asking who am I should return the mind to its primordial state of naked beingness. That is its purpose and goal. So I think most of us are quite familiar with self-inquiry. So when you observe thoughts or a thought, you ask this question: to whom has this thought arisen? And the answer to that question is me, or I or me. And then we ask, who is this me? The second question. So the way that Bhagwan has talked about self-inquiry is that it's about two questions, actually. And the second question brings you to this primordial nature of naked beingness. right? So that's the whole point of this double questions, that it takes you away from the mind to your being. Beingness or subjective awareness, uncontaminated by thought, is also a component of mind. It remains after asking, who am I? Thus, when Bhagwan propounds that asking the question leads to destruction of the mind, I'm puzzled by the statement. And then Bhagwan makes a very important statement. And this is something you have to really understand, because this is like a key statement. Beingness is not a component of the mind. It is its substratum. When that uncontaminated awareness remains so permanently, having once and for all lost all volition to spill itself over into the realm of thought, it is also destroyed. But you have no role in that final destruction, nor do you have any power to bring it about. It is left entirely to the beyond. So this is a very important paragraph from Bhagwan here. This is on page 73. So we have to understand that there is a kind of substratum, which we actually are calling the Supreme Self, or it's calling realization. So this is our deepest nature. This is our natural state, which when we arrived on this planet, we were existing in that state. This is completely the state of little children before they're affected by that, they're living their life and in the family and so on. So this is how we arrive. We arrive very clear, very clean, clear, innocent, you see. So we actually arrive from being in the substratum, if you like. And then he's asked, after that final destruction, what is left? Bhagwan, the beyond. It is known as the Supreme Self. It cannot be described. The mind cannot imagine it. Yet, it is your true self. So this is actually quite a strong situation, quite a strong sentence, because to realize you can't describe it. You can't tell your best friend, oh, yesterday I had this moment and I was completely awake in that moment. I was absolutely the self, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like this. You can't. There are no words. When you really come to this self, there are no words. Some great poets have tried to give it words. Probably one of the most famous is Rumi. He was living in, I think, the north of India in Varanasi, actually. I think he was living in Varanasi, Rumi. And, wait a minute. Where was Rumi? Was from Turkey, I think, yeah? Was he? Anybody know where Rumi was? Where? Oh? Was it Turkey?
Somewhere Turkey or some Arabic country.
Yeah. Now I realize I was wrong saying he was Indian. He was from Turkey, actually. Anyway, so some great poets have tried to describe the self, if you like, God. But you can't. But you can know it, you see. And I've often been saying that when you have a glimpse of your true nature, that is a very, very important moment, because suddenly you know something you never knew before, okay? And that is giving us then the possibilities as a human being that we want to invite that into our lives. And then you might end up visiting our community or even living in our community. So then Chadwick's last question. So our final aim is only this Supreme Self. Attaining it is called self-realization. Am I correct? And then Bhagwan says, there is no attaining it. You see, the way many of us are thinking is that there is something that we can get, which is self-realization. We don't have it now, but we can get it. If we do some things, we can get this thing. But Bhagwan is saying that you can't obtain it. You can't obtain it because you already got it. You always got it. If the reflected consciousness is cleared away, only the original consciousness remains. Destruction of the reflecting phenomena, namely the delusive ego mind, is the goal, or rather reveals the goal. That is self-realization. So you can't obtain it, you see. We are born with that space, and we grow up, go through our teenage years, become an adult, work, possibly get married, raise a family, and so on and so on. And we lose touch with this original nature. We lose touch with it because there are so many we can call them mind structures, or you can use this word Vasana, which is an Indian word. These are the mind having certain patterns, structures of the mind. And this is one of the main jobs we're trying to do here in Open Sky House, that we are working together every day. We're doing stuff like cleaning a room, washing the dishes, cleaning the floor, cooking lunch. We're doing all these completely ordinary things together, but in a big difference. Because as we are working together, naturally things happen between two people or three people. And the things that happen are very likely to cause some kind of thinking. And probably the thinking is from the past. And this thinking is actually something you can discard. Because anything that is not happening right now, so right now John David is talking, so now he's 80, so 80 years plus a few months, plus a few weeks, plus a few days, plus a few hours, right? All that is rubbish. We can just throw it all in the garbage. We don't need that anymore, you see. And unfortunately, we're very much used to holding on to the past. And then in certain situations, there's some kind of catalyst, and we start, talking out some exciting old story from the past. And so we've got to learn, and we've got to see for ourselves that the mind is only useful in the moment. So the mind is a wonderful phenomena, and with that phenomena, you can arrange an air ticket, for example. You can plan something. You can cook a meal where different things have to come together. You need a mind, and I would say all of the people on the screen, you all have a very good mind. So that's one aspect, to have a good mind, and the good mind will also help you to see the stuff that you need to throw away. You see, you've got to throw away, and as you throw away, you find that you come down and down, closer and closer to this self, to, if you want to call him God. Okay, so this is a very important text actually, because some people will tell you that you don't have to get rid of the vasanas. You can manage without getting rid of the vasanas. And that could be true if you're so conscious that you're not attaching to these vasanas. But my experience is most of us are automatically attaching to vasanas. We don't, maybe some of them we know, and many of them we don't know, because it's not always easy to see all our vasanas. Even we don't want to see them, because they maybe bring us some pain. So what's happening in the daily life of Open Sky House is that because we're, if you like, all in the soup pot together, we are very easily helping each other to see what has to be understood. Whatever your vasanas are, you need to understand them to some degree, and then you need to let them go completely. So the process of becoming self-realized is not to get something, it's actually to give up something, to clear away, to leave our nature exposed. You see? It's not to bring something else in, it's to get rid of. Okay, so would somebody like to dialogue a bit about this text? You just wave your hand if you'd like to.
Hello. So I have.
You wave your hand. Wait. Who? I don't know what. Okay. Now I see you. Okay, just a minute. I have to do something on my computer. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So the natural self, the that you mentioned,
Yeah.
in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, in the first chapter, they call it Swarupe Avasthanam.
Okay. What does that mean?
It means your
I can't
natural
speak.
self.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're agreeing with me that our nature is this natural self, are you?
So yeah, reaching that is the thing. Yeah, but I agree with you. Yeah. I just wanted to mention this word Swarupe Avasthanam.
Well, I think nobody's very interested. It's very complicated. Sanskrit, probably, is it? Huh?
Yeah.
Sanskrit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If you're Indian, it's okay to know all that, but unfortunately, we Westerners, we're not very interested in Sanskrit, I guess. I mean, we ought to be if we want to be a scholar, but we're not being scholars, you see. We're looking to be free human beings. So being a scholar is not the same thing. Okay. Are you feeling better today? Is your
Yeah.
health
Yeah.
working out better?
Yeah. This week has been great so far.
Okay. Jolly good. Okay. So anybody else like to have a dialogue with me about this vastness? Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I had quite an interesting kind of discoveries when I was with my father this weekend, but also with my brother. I mean, both of them had some moments where they became very quiet and could see something new that they hadn't seen before, and this was very touching. And somehow, them having this experience made it somehow completely unnecessary for me to say anything about it. And in that unnecessity, I noticed in myself those tendencies of, wanting to, I don't know, encourage them to meditate or all this kind of things.
Right, right,
As if I would know better and I need to tell them, you need to do this and then, blah, blah, blah. And I could
right.
see that the spiritual stuff or like this, knowledge or something that, you know, um, is like it's so connected to the tendency inside to show myself worthy or something. So when my father is there and then I would, talk about this and that, then there's a subtle energy behind it of wanting to prove myself worthy. And
Right, right.
I could also see the pain behind it, and it was quite strong to see this because it was, I mean, it was only possible really to see it with him because he's not interested in the concepts, but he was very surprised to have this moment of clarity. But
Right.
then to give him my vocabulary about it was just useless, but I could see my own thing behind it.
Right. Well, I think that's very honest and very well observed, you know, and it wasn't just with your father, but also I think with your brother. I mean, last Friday, your brother came and talked to me in the meeting, on the Friday public meeting, and he exposed the fact that he'd, I think, been here 3 times, but in the last time, he was coming here alone without his father or mother. And somehow this time he was able to feel the energy of the open sky house and be touched by it. And also, maybe because he's heard you talking before, he was able to completely understand what was going on. And you were very touched from that. And I think this thing about families, I mean, I can remember years ago at dinner trying to explain to my father why I didn't eat meat anymore, you know? And he felt the urge to argue with me and say, you know, a lot of stuff about, he was a doctor actually, but so he had a lot of stuff about how meat, you know, made the Western people very strong eating meat, and you know, those poor Indians eating vegetables all the time, you know, blah blah blah. So I mean, I can remember sitting at dinner, you know, and then my poor old mother who'd made the dinner, the only way she felt she could love me in that situation was to put a big chunk of meat on my plate. And when I suggested I didn't actually want to eat meat anymore, and could she perhaps not put meat on my plate, she had to carry on putting meat, because for her, there was a feeling that this meat is my love. You know, I'm cooking the dinner and part of the dinner is the meat. The meat will make you very healthy, so this is my love for you. And so it's not always easy to see such a Vasana because our emotional, energetic connection is so strong. You know, daddy has a certain position immediately, and so on. So when you can start to see things like that, it means that, as I know with you, that you'll become very open to understand all these old Vasanas. And you were a bit shocked to discover, I think, this one about your family. You know? Because as you say,
And
it
what?
also says something about you. You're the clever guy who went off to university and then met a teacher and now understands all these things, and we don't understand. We're just ordinary people. So this is, as you say, it's a sort of subtle, I'm better than you kind of thing. You know?
Completely, completely. And it's so nice what you said about this, that your mother wanted to give you love in form of meat. I mean, inside is the same idea in a way as well. I want to give them love in form of, you know, some spiritual blah blah. But of course, it's completely not necessary, completely not necessary. And just, you know, having a beer with them is actually the kind of just ordinary being together or something. And they
Right.
have their experience on their own accord. Like I had nothing to do with it.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah. Yeah.
mm,
Yeah, I mean, people are not so excited to get involved in these vasanas because the reality is, well, let me say, from my point of view as a teacher, looking from the outside, I know that this is very important. I know that you have to clear away at least the main ones, which you maybe not even aware of that you've got those, because I know that, you know, this substratum is this most wonderful place to live your life. When you come there, that's it. You've got the gold medal. You know, you can not get a gold medal because willing to look at what is causing you not to come to that space. So we need to be extremely honest And after living in the Open Sky House for 22 years, we've had many, many people, I would say probably 2/3 of the people that came to live here left suddenly, usually because they didn't want to feel maybe pain about some Vasana, some old structure. And because they didn't want to deal with that, and they judged that John David was perhaps not being a nice guy by making them aware of these things, that John David's just judging me, so I don't want to stay here to be judged, I'm leaving. But what I said before is very important to understand. A teacher, a spiritual teacher, is not judging you. A spiritual teacher is becoming aware of certain structures and issues that you need to look at, and when he sees you're not looking at them, then his job is to put you in touch with them. And this is working very well in the Open Sky House, because if I see that, I can encourage that person to go and work with the other person. And then I know that there's a good chance that they will, one person will show the other person something that they maybe didn't understand before. So in a way, in the community life, in our community life, we are all helping each other. We're all reflecting each other. We're all being a mirror for each other. And so if you understand that there is nobody judging you, but in fact there's somebody trying to put you in touch with things that maybe he thinks you don't have a lot of it being in touch with, then the whole relationship with the teacher becomes really, really extremely useful, extremely useful. But for that to have a good value, you've got to have a certain deep surrender inside to the whole situation. You've got to realize that the teacher is not judging you. He just wants to inform you that there are things to be looked at. And for that, you can say thank you. But of course, when Daddy comes along and tells you, I don't know, you should eat more meat or something, then it doesn't work anymore. You just don't feel, you don't like it because you've just been judged. You don't be judged by Daddy. But a teacher a spiritual teacher is not operating like Daddy. He's not judging you in that way. In fact, most teacher would say to you, you're completely okay the way you are now. Nothing needs to change. But if you want to live in this enormous peace which is available, you need to work on these vasanas. Okay. Somebody else like to jump in? Okay, Kailash.
Yeah, I wanted to share this. These vasanas are like clusters of energy, a body that are triggered every day. And I have two good masters as you have. I have a boy which is 11 years old, and my daughter, she's 16.
Right.
And then when I'm with them, they trigger all of my vasanas, all day long.
Right. Maybe you send me a picture of them, a photo.
I will. I will.
New
Yeah.
teachers, and I can I can feel jealous that you've got a new teacher. No, I'm joking.
You know that all of these parent behaviors, like you have to do this or you have to eat that or drink this because this is good or whatever, at some point they are like mirrors, and they say, but why should I do it that? Like, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. If I don't like it, what I should take it? And they're very spontaneous. And at that moment I said, well, listen, I think you're right? I'm not gonna push anymore.
Yeah.
I think the way you're just acting is the way it should be, just being yourself in this moment. And then it helped me to pull back, right? And to come into myself. And they noticed that. And then I looked in the eye, and it's wonderful. We don't have to say anything. We just look in each other, and it's very, very nice moment. We're quiet, and it's good. But it comes back all the time, and I can see my vasanas in that relationship, because that also comes from my parents. But it's good to have a mirror, every day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And kids are very good mirrors because they have very good eyesight. I mean, I'm always amazed how these two daughters of mine, they have this amazing laser quality kind of eyes that pick up all kind of little things, which I wouldn't even imagine they notice, but they do. They notice everything and they hear everything. So now they've got to the point where I go on the telephone and they're listening to my call, and then after the call they say, Papa, Papa, a little more hard, sweet, be quiet, and speak more quietly. And I mean, it's a lot of fun, actually. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very easy for them to see our structures. I think for them, they don't tell you, but they see, like, you don't even have to speak, like the way you move or even the way you see it, look at them, then they know
Yeah,
everything, they will realize.
They know that when Daddy looks like that, he's going to tell us to eat up our salad or something, All right.
But at the same time, I think what is a great mystery to me is this mind that we have, that, I mean, not talking about vasanas, but talking about creativity and all the incredible things that can be done. It's also very amazing to me. And when I reflect on this, and I remember this conversation we had with Andrew Cohen in February in India, which was actually
Right.
his last meeting. I keep reflecting on him, saying, like, we are being, but we are also becoming, and this capacity for creation and to evolve right into something even greater. It's something amazing. And yeah, it's
I mean, if
I
you're
want
interested to watch that video again, we put it on YouTube. You can see it on YouTube.
yeah, I had a look
The
at it
talk
already.
that Andrew gave.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
YouTube, if anybody else is interested, yeah.
I was
I
very
think that
touched,
was a
to
very
hear that he passed
energetic
away.
and it was a very touching moment. I mean, I hadn't seen him for a year. I'd just been to see him and said hello. And the day before, I think I had been to see him, and over a cup of tea, I invited him to come and talk, but only for 20 minutes, because sitting quietly with him, I felt he was very delicate in a way, quite delicate. And sure enough, when he came to talk to us, I think everybody could feel how delicate he was. I mean, he talked for about 50 minutes, I think. But as I knew Andrew very well, if you didn't try to kind of stop him a bit, he would have talked for another 2 hours, you see. And then maybe it would have been bad for his health. And as it turned out, he left his body not so long after that meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Somebody else to venture into the world of the Vasanas? Oh, click the wrong one. Anybody want to wave their hand?
Yeah, I was unmuted already.
Okay, go ahead. And then Saraswati will have you after.
Yeah, it's amazing to just sit in this meeting and listening to the people and listening to my mind at the same time. Because it always wants to create something special. Like, what should I say? And then there's a few situations in the day that came up with quite interesting vasanas and how it got developed. But when those things come, there's always then coming this judgment about them, or you just want to brag about it, or you just want to be interesting, and also the same thing that it's not interesting enough. And
but you see this is a nice thing. You can go back and then another step back and then another step back. And each step you're coming maybe to more of a root Vasana, because you want to speak something clever, yeah. But what is behind that? Something is behind that you have this feeling you want to speak something clever. But what's really behind is that probably you feel a bit insecure, and maybe people don't know how clever you are, and you really need to make them realize what a clever guy you are, you know. And so then behind that is something else, you know. So we have to be very honest and very determined to go back inside and find where do these vasanas start from, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, this.
And so any help you get from the outside is anyway very, very big help. And in our community here, as you know now, you've been here about 9 months, I think. I mean, you every day maybe are getting certain mirror onto you, and out of that you see things which might be quite uncomfortable. And but gradually you've come to realize how useful that information is, so you don't react against it anymore. Is that right?
Yeah,
Most of it you can accept. Sometimes it's a bit painful, but still you see the value in that.
yeah, definitely.
Mm.
I was so grateful today in one situation when I'm feeling kind of helpless, and then I look at someone else who could help me, and then I ask him, "Can you help me?" And then because she wasn't doing anything in my eyes, and then just said a quiet, very secure no. And this was just like inside me, it was just a beautiful explosion of anger. And the last time when this happened 2 weeks ago, it was too much, and more came. And this time it was also very strong energy, but it was really nice. And I got to the punchback for 5 minutes, and then it was all kind of dissolved. Yeah?
Right.
But it's still strong inside me,
Right.
but it was, yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, but these are the kind of moments when you can get very valuable understanding about some energetic thing about yourself, yeah? And if it's not being rejected because you project onto the person that he's trying to be my father, or he's trying to be my mother or something, yeah, my sister. And if you don't take it like that, and you take it because, wow, this is a really good chance for me to understand something that I didn't realize what was behind my effort to be clever, to be perfect. Now I see that there was some insecurity, and, you know, and so in this way, it's like we live for some years as a kind of detective, where we're actually detecting our own issues. And actually this is necessary for everybody, because without doing that work, you won't find the really serious vasanas, because they're often things which we don't easily allow to reveal themselves, you know. So what we're doing in this community, I mean, I didn't plan it like that, so I don't take any special credit, but after some years of the community, I began to see how amazing it was, or is, to have something like a community where people work together. We don't only live together, but we actually work together. I mean, a lot of communities is in a very different way, because they're communities. Hello, I've lost you. Go back to the other. Yeah. What was I saying? I've forgotten what I was saying, actually.
Yeah, that we are being mirrors for each other in the community.
Yeah, yeah. And I think this is very useful.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, somebody else think about this? Okay, Saraswati, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think it was 2 days ago. It was like happening that I could see one structure inside of me, and I'm still touched by the purity of like it's not so complicated if you see it once. It's really, really simple and connected to a feeling. So it was really just I'm still touched by this yeah, observation. And yeah, it was connected to much pain and
Pain,
pain.
pain.
And I wasn't aware of these emotions behind, like behind the structure, the Vasana of I want to be a good girl. And
Right.
now to see what it causes to have this structure is very valuable for me. I mean, I could also imagine like that it caused me to study medicine or something like this, which I would say no pain. I did it
Well,
deliberately.
it probably, I don't suppose it did that, but what it probably did was that when your family suggested you should do something like being a doctor, you were ready to accept it, you know? Maybe because they are the authority, you're the little girl and you don't really know, you know, what the hell you want to be, you know, do I, you know? And then they say, wow, you make a very nice doctor and that would be a good life, you know, and then, so I mean, to be free, I mean, the freedom that I'm talking about is not the teenage freedom of I do what I want when I want, you know, that's one kind of freedom, but it's not the freedom we're talking about. We're talking about a freedom where in some moment you meet somebody, maybe a new person, and you have some kind of connection with that new person. And this connection does not depend on some old story saying something about this new person, you know. I don't like people with blonde hair or something, you know. I prefer dark hair, whatever it is. We have millions of these silly things, and most of them are not very important. What's really important with the Vasanas is to go back enough. You understand some of the structures that are not so easy to see, and it's then very helpful to have somebody on the outside who basically loves you and wants to help you get free of those vasanas. They're not telling you because they want to attack you or be unpleasant to you or judge you, nothing like that. And I mean, as I said before, this was not really a plan of how to have a community. But I've been to other communities. I remember one community years ago where the people who lived in the community, every morning they went out into wherever they went to do their job. And then they came back in the evening, say 6 o'clock, and they all came back and then they had the evening together. They had the weekend together. But I remember having this thought, it would be much better if they just all worked together, because then everything you're doing is in a certain energy field and everybody is not there to judge you. They're there to help you. It's completely different. So, I mean, how it ended up being like that, I don't know. Now, since a few years, everybody who would like to work in the house gets to work in the house. And only very few people ever choose to go out now. In the early days, we had, I remember, a man who played the trumpet in the Cologne Orchestra. He probably still plays it. And he loved to go and teach the kids, you know. So in the afternoons, he would go and teach children. And I found this very nice, yeah. And there's no problem with that, because you can also get a big value from doing something like that, you see. Good. And your cold is better? You're not sick anymore?
Yes, yes. No, not anymore.
Okay, jolly good. Okay, well, I think we can go on a bit if anybody else likes to have a talk. Maybe I would ask Loanna from recent week we had here together with you.
Yeah, hi.
So how are you going?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I can feel that I'm in a different energy now, but I try to meditate 3 times a day. and yeah, do my who am I. Yeah, and yeah, sometimes I feel like having a really good meditation. Yeah, and I also notice myself when I'm talking out of my ego, so I'm more aware about it or of it, and yeah, so yeah, and suddenly I also dream a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I have a lot of nightmares. I don't know if it's good, but yeah, I don't know. Since I'm back, I have like a lot of nightmares, and I'm very, very tired. Yeah,
But
and I work very slow at work, so it's
these nightmares, are they only starting since you were here, or do you always been having nightmares?
I had nightmares before, but I noticed that I have them more often now. Like, I don't know if
Are they stronger now, more
yeah,
terrible?
I last week I had like nightmares every night. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, you could choose to see that they're quite helpful actually, because maybe
Yeah.
some of these nightmares are not things that you normally think about, you know? One of the good
Yeah.
things about dreams are that during the night, when you start dreaming strong dreams, it's some kind of unconscious structures or vasanas which are coming out in the dream. So even then, in the morning, when you can remember the dreams or the nightmare, it's actually quite useful, I think. And it may
Yeah,
be telling you something.
yeah, they're also connected to my past, like my mom that didn't listen to me, and my friend that didn't want to play with me, a boyfriend that went away, and like all this stuff is coming up. Yeah. So I think it's good. It's good to live it again in a way. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and what I noticed also during my meditation, sometimes I don't know, sometimes my head like goes back, and it's very like something is like pulling my or pushing my head back. I don't know. I feel like I don't know what it is. So
Right.
also this like when we were meditating this time, I also felt it like I was pushing back, and then it's like it's like very strong that it's very difficult to to hold against it.
Right.
I don't know.
But I
So
think you see what you're sharing tonight is, in a way, for the people in the house here, is a continuation of how you were in that week. You see, because you were definitely one of the people who has a sincere interest in looking and knowing yourself better. You see, and you're saying that now in the days after the last week, that's continuing, and it's continuing because you're, in a way, I would say, honest. You're honest with yourself, you know, and somehow inside you there is a kind of knowing, and this knowing is perhaps gradually going to be more and more important to you. So whatever your life is now, you were telling us about this job you love very much, making connections with people who lost the lower part of their leg or something like this. Yeah, it's a very,
yeah,
very particular kind of job. Yeah. So there must be some reason why you're doing such a job, and maybe that will come to you one day. You see, we
yeah,
have all kind of reasons for everything. We have all kind of reasons.
yeah,
And maybe most of them are not very important, but usually there are certain structures inside which are actually having a big effect on our personality and how we live our life.
yeah,
So the more we can be honest to discover those things, then the sooner they can be let go of.
yeah. Yeah, I try to be connected to like this heart energy. that I had before. So I can, like, this time during my meditation I felt it a lot, and so I kind of feel like the need to be connected to it.
Okay.
So and I notice more when I'm around people what's going on, like, with this energy. I don't know how to explain it.
Right.
Yeah, but I try to.
Anyway, I mean, the thing I remember about you is that you're kind of genuinely interested in knowing more about yourself. And
Yeah.
also you've got a kind of humble, it seems, well, from what I know of you, I don't know you so well, but you have a humble ego, which makes it much easier. You don't have a sort of dominating ego. You're very sensitive and quiet, and I think mostly your structures are things that are not going to be so much trouble for you. We'll see.
Oh, yeah. Maybe my ego is much bigger.
Well, my
No.
sense when I met you last week, my sense was you didn't have such a strong ego. Yeah. Good. Okay, nice talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So maybe one more person? Anybody else like to talk? Okay. So I'm going to have my dinner now then. Thank you. And watch some more. Enjoying the tennis, in Rome at the moment, there's a big international tennis match going on with all the best players, male and female. So become a complete tennis nut at the moment. Okay, so thank you.